Ulalek Fused Atrocity might just be the best Eldrazi commander that you're playing incorrectly. There's a lot of really cool rules interactions that work in terms of building this deck and upgrading it, and that's what I wanted to do today. I wanted to provide you with an upgrade path for the most powerful Eldrazi commander that we've received to date, and really just give you the tools you need to overwhelm your opponent with honestly any option that you wanted. We're going to go over the ways that we can improve our play with this and understand the rules interaction that's happening here so that you can maximize on the value out of Ulalek. We're going to hop right into that, but first we have to read the card itself. Ulalek Fused Atrocity is Wooburg or 5 colorless for a legendary creature Eldrazi 2/5 with Devoid. Whenever you cast an Eldrazi spell, you may pay colorless. If you do, copy all spells you control, then copy all other activated and triggered abilities you control. You may choose new targets for those copies. Specifically, you can copy all spells you control, not permanents. Permanents are permanents on the battlefield. They are there. Spells are any card on the stack. And so there's going to be an element of playing at instant speed that you really want to be taking advantage of. It's not just about playing instant and sorceries at any time or playing cards with flash. It's about making sure that your other spells can also be cast at instant speed. And now also taking advantage of activated and triggered abilities. A lot of you might be thinking of Eldrazi out there that enter the battlefield and have various effects on cast or on ETB, such as creating Eldrazi spawn for mana. And we do want to be taking advantage of stuff like that as well as kind of level 1. And these are some of the various paths that we can go, and that's again what I want to provide to you, a template. You can build this almost any way that you want. This is very easily a combo engine, a combo card that you can put out so many different abilities and artifacts with to generate infinite mana or just infinite triggers, whatever it might be. And that's the template I want to provide with you today. And of course, if you want to see more content like this, leave a like on the video. Let me know what you want to see more of. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more Commander content coming in the future. Now, very obvious off the top, the first card that we want to include in this deck is out of the Commander Masters set, right? It's going to be the other de facto Eldrazi Ulalek Voidgorger. And I'm going to be honest, the way you build this deck is Ulalek is your 100th card. Ulalek is always going to be your 99th card. You have 99 other options. That's just the truth of the matter. Ulalek Voidgorger is an auto include in this deck. It is a must include. Do not remove it. If you put it in there, if it's in there, just keep it there. That's it. That's it. It's just going to stay there, right? Colorless spells you control cast with mana value 7 or greater have Cascade. Cascade is a triggered ability. That is, it's going to trigger. So then you can pay colorless to copy those, and all your Eldrazi spells you cast with Ulalek and Ulalek out are then going to be cascading 4 times. And then once you cast those spells, they're then going to trigger the Ulalek an additional time. It gets absolutely insane once you start thinking about it. Auto include, you need to be playing this, and I mean, you're definitely going to be casting big Eldrazi all the time, especially with some of the other enchantments that already exist in the deck that I'm not going to mention because that's not the point of this video. You already know it's in there. It's going to be triggered in that big enchantment that triggers and allows your stuff to trigger an additional time. It's all in there. It's all in the deck list, okay? So you know it's in there, but Ulalek 100%. The next category is going to be taking advantage of cards at instant speed. Okay, so casting your spells so that you can copy them with the Ulalek, right? And you want to use this with cards like Emergence Zone. Emergence Zone is a land that taps to produce colorless, which is very important, by the way. I want to add this as a caveat where you don't want to lose the colorless sources in your deck. Because you have to play colorless, you don't want your whole deck to be full of command tower type of effects that produce colors. You need colorless effect, and the deck actually comes with a really good amount of them. It's actually really well built, in my opinion, in terms of the mana base straight out of the box. So you really want to be keeping those colorless sources. Emergence Zone does that, and you can tap and sacrifice Emergence Zone so you may cast spells this turn as though they had flash. Again, very powerful one-shot effect, not permanent, but a great way to start, especially in terms of what it provides to you with its value in terms of the colorless. Leyline of Anticipation, another option that you have being 5 color, although relatively intensive. I will say playing cards with dual colors in them in a 5 color deck, unless you skew it towards that. What's nice about Ulalek is you could just make this a blue colorless deck, right? And just play colorless for the other sources, right? It gives you a lot of options in terms of casting costs. But again, if you build this Wooburg, blue can be rather intensive. So just plan around that. But, having it in your opening hand, you can put it out on the battlefield, or you may cast spells as though they had flash. Very simple. Vidalcan Orrery is the last card, a commander staple. For those of you Command Zone watchers, you're going to know this card as well. You may cast spells as though they had flash. Artifact, 4 CMC, very classic commander card. definitely a card that you want to be including in here to maximize on Ulalek's value, casting things, then in response casting something else, then casting something else, pay for Ulalek's ability to copy everything on the stack, copy your spells. This is a deck that's going to be very mana intensive. You definitely want to be ramping a lot to get your value out of things. In the next category, I want to talk about copying triggers. Panharmonicon is a very easy include here as well, being colorless. 4, if an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Easy. That's just, come on. You're going to get ETB effects. You're going to get different Eldrazi coming in and doing different things. Panharmonicon going to double those up. You want to double up your value. You want to create more spawn tokens. You want to create more mana, whatever it might be. Get your triggers out. Roaming Throne, very easy include as well. And I will say again, definitely a more expensive option, but it's expensive for a reason. Very hard to remove with that word too. Choosing your creature type, you're going to choose Eldrazi. And then, Roaming Throne is that chosen type. So you're going to get any Eldrazi synergies that you already have. Maybe you have some go wide, something like a Roaming Throne is going to be able to affect this. But if triggered ability of any other creature you control of that chosen type triggers, triggered at a distant time. That's it. It's so simple. It's going to trigger an additional time. I don't even need, can you just really imagine this with an Ulalek out on the stack? Come on, easy include. Psionic Resonator, another easy one as well. 2 costs for an artifact, pay 2, tap it, copy target, triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. What's great about this is an activated ability that you can then copy with the Ulalek. Even better. Copy your triggered abilities, then Psionic Resonator to activate, copy the activated ability, trigger to get, come on. It's a trigger storm. Can someone in the comment section down below let me know about Trigger Storm? Who else is building Trigger Storm in Commander? Come on. Psionic Resonator, Lithoform Engine is the last card I want to talk about in the trigger section. 4 mana for a legendary artifact. 2 and tap, copy target, activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for that. Copy. 3, tap, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control, which is going to be great because you're probably going to be playing instant and sorceries as well. Copying those is going to be great. And then finally, 4, copy target permanent spell you control. Obviously, once you get the value of these permanents, you want to create more copies of those. But of course, there probably are going to be a lot of permanents you control that are going to be legendary. So just be aware of that. This deck can get pretty legendary heavy, so be very careful with that last ability on the Lithoform Engine. But again, because all of these are activated abilities, you can copy them off of the Ulalek trigger. Very easy includes in a deck like this, depending on how you want to build it. Now, I want to talk about tutors. Right? There's going to be very specific pieces that you want to get out at specific times. And firstly, I'm just going to highlight this with Worldly Tutor because you're in any color. I could have used Demonic Tutor, but I'm trying to give you all something a little bit non-black here. So Worldly Tutor, Commander staple, I would say generally in higher power pods. Green, search your library for a creature at instant speed, reveal it, then shuffle and put it on top. Again, just getting out the Eldrazi that you need, finding that the Zuladoc, finding the ramp spell that you need, finding whatever combo piece you need, Worldly Tutor, and just being in any color. You can do it in blue to get instant and sorceries. You can do it in black to get anything, whatever it might be. Worldly Tutor is going to be your best friend, and other colored tutors are going to be great for that. But what about something like Planar Bridge? 6 mana for a legendary artifact that says pay 8, search your library for a permanent card, put that onto the battlefield, and shuffle. Again, another valuable activated ability that you can now copy. Again, very mana intensive, but I'm pretty sure you'd be happy to copy this ability for 2 more to get out 2 creature cards, to get out 2 permanent cards, to get out whatever combination of cards you need to then win the game pretty much instantaneously. I'd be really surprised if you copied a planar triggered ability. If you copy that, how do you not win? That has to be on you. Either you have the winning pieces in your hand or it's your fault because you didn't build the deck right. There's no way you don't win by copying this ability. Come on. Auto include. The last thing, the last section that I want to include is just general value pieces. Cards that have a lot of great synergy that you would include just maybe as your 95th, 96th, whatever card included in your deck. Fist of Suns is a very easy one here, where especially just because you are a 5-color deck, but you are going to be casting a lot of relatively high CMC things, you can get around that cost by playing something like this. But of course, this might be a little anti-synergistic depending on how you build your mana base. I think something like a Chromatic Lantern is going to be a pretty easy include in an EDH deck like this. So Fist of Suns can be pretty easy to work with. 3, you may pay Wooburg rather than pay the cost of spells that you cast. So anything massive. So other than Ulalek, anything massive is just going to be absolutely, just going to be great to cheat out with this. Instead of paying like 10 mana for an Eldrazi, you can pay 5 colors. Come on. just good value out of there. The Great Henge is going to be insane because, I mean, obviously this card is just absolutely insane in terms of price and playability, but because you're going to be like casting really large Eldrazi spells, Ulalek is just only like a 2-power commander, but you're going to be casting a lot of big Eldrazi things. So you're definitely going to want to be playing something like this because it's probably always just going to be costing green. And then when you can add green and pay and you gain 2 life, it has a triggered ability. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on it and draw a card. That's a pretty good value triggered ability to be copying, putting on the stack, copying with whatever else you need. Again, just really good high value card, rather expensive, but of course, if you're looking for a higher power pod, kind of building this up a little bit more, this is going to be a pretty good inclusion inside the Ulalek. And then finally, Kindred Dominance, another, I would say, a rather high power staple in terms of board wipes, rather expensive card for those of you that maybe are used to mid to low power pods. Kindred Dominance, black 5, sorcery, choose a creature type, destroy all creatures that aren't of that chosen type. You choose Eldrazi, destroy everything else. Of course, if you went the route of maybe playing artifacts, this might be like an artifacts, affinity, colorless. You might not want to include something like this, but if you're playing Eldrazi Tribal, which is kind of that first level and probably the likely way to build this deck, Kindred Dominance is going to be great. Again, because you're able to play any color that you want. You can skew your mana how you want. You have access to 5 colors, but you can play Ulalek with colorless mana, and you could just make this like a Dimir deck. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways that you can skew the deck to build it in your way, but that's kind of what I wanted to provide here. Ulalek is just going to be one of the best commanders that you have for the Eldrazi archetype itself. And this is kind of the upgrade ideas that I'm putting your way just as that level 1 to give you that push and provide some of that thinking. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know what are some of the cards that I'm missing that aren't in the deck. Notably, that I want to talk about cards that aren't coming out of this precon. Let me know what you're missing, because this is definitely, you know, I was building like halfway through in a Ulalek deck. Then I ended up just building a Mothman deck, which I'm more than happy to do a guide on. If y'all want to see my Mothman deck, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll put it on next week. But Ulalek is definitely just going to be replacing my Ulalek. I'm going to be putting Ulalek in there, mashing a bunch of the cards together, and building this deck out. I cannot wait. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Is this a commander you're excited to build? Because I'm telling you, the Eldrazi Menace is coming back to the multiverse in a big way.